Can't wait to put all my girlfriends
on. All right, let me make sure we're live on Facebook. Okay, we're good to go. Give a moment for a few people to join us.
Good morning, Westminster.
All right. Got some people jumping on, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with all of my normal welcome and housekeeping items. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another City Updates live broadcast. I'm Jamie Chavez. I'm your host from the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled to have you with us today. As always, we're here to bring you the latest insights straight from City Hall, featuring conversations with our councilors, our mayor pro tem, and other city leaders. It is your backstage pass to what's going on in Westminster. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're glad that you're here. If you're on Facebook, be sure to like us and follow us so that you will receive notifications for when we go live in the future. And if you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe. You can also watch all of our previous broadcasts there as well if you're interested. Mondays on the broadcast are all about city updates, while Wednesdays offer a chance to meet some of our newest chamber members and learn about their businesses or nonprofits. So I encourage you to join us for those broadcasts as well. This Wednesday at 11 a.m., I'll be live with Jason Howard from Elevations Credit Union. So I'm excited for him to be able to share with you all of the services that he's got to offer. We also reserved the last Friday of the month for county updates featuring Jeffco Commissioner Tracy Kraftthorpe. So stay tuned to that for broader county matters. And as you watch the broadcast this morning, please feel free to engage with us, ask questions, drop comments in the comment section, or just say hello, and we will make sure to get to those during the interview. And finally, a warm welcome to Councilor Claire Carmelia. How are you today?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's your first time on the broadcast, so I'm really glad to have you here, so thank you.
Absolutely. I'm excited too. And I just want to say thank you for doing this. I think it's amazing that the chamber takes the time to reach out to council to get updates directly from the source and keep the community informed. And I just feel like that really shows how dedicated you are and the chamber is to the community and getting information directly from the source. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're glad to have you here. And we've got some people saying hello. Good morning, Parker. Thanks for joining us. And good morning, Brian. Thanks for being here. All right, so we're just going to jump right in. You've been doing this for about 6-7 months now. How's it been? What's your experience been like so far?
It has been so much fun. And I'll tell you, it's definitely a learning curve. You kind of jump in with both feet and you just learn through context. You know, nobody's really showing you how it all works, but I am doing all the things I love. And so I love that I finally have one place and one job that I can combine all the things I care about. You know, I've always been active in the community. I've been active in organizations, and now I have a way to be all the places that I've ever wanted to be at once. And I love it. And I love that I have the privilege of reaching out directly with my community and getting to hear their thoughts and bringing that back to council to make action. It is just such an honor, you know, to be in the seat that says, okay, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm seeing, and now we can do something about it. So it's been amazing. I love it.
Awesome. Has it been what you'd expected, or are you like, oh geez, this is not what I was envisioning?
It's been better than I expected. It really has, because I have learned so much. You know, I'm a learner. I've made it a goal that every year I focus and learn on something new, and I'm a lifelong just trying to constantly self-improve. And through this process, I've learned so much more about how government works with land development, and how it works with businesses, and how it works with housing and all these other ways. Like, now I get to see the back end ropes. And that's what I've always wanted to know more about. And so it's just been better than I could imagine that I finally get my hands dirty about all the things I care about and get to see how it really works. And so it's just been amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. That's good to hear. So tell us what's going on down at City Hall. What do you have to report to us this week?
There is so much going on. And if you've been following Westminster politics, then you'll know that there's a few items that are kind of top of mind for residents that we've been hearing a lot about. And I'll try not to go on too long because, they're quite intense. But there's some that we just had a big study session last week on, of course, is the open space dog park. And if you're curious for more information on that, I mean, we've had 6 months now of feedback from residents and from environmental organizations and from the city staff and from just all sorts of folks. We've had so much involvement, which is incredible. And then we had our study session last week. And if you want to catch more information on that, I'll be on CBS Live tomorrow talking about that. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know what time yet. I'm sorry, I don't have that. But that's been really a really big topic. And then, of course, we have the RMMA, which has just been an ongoing issue with our local airport, trying to figure out how we can have conversations with the airport when technically so much of what they do is outside of the scope of the city. It's regulated at a federal level, and yet we need to protect our residents. And so that's just an ongoing discussion that we're going to need to keep the doors open on. And I think it's important to remember that so much of the time, government is not top-down decisions, it's relationships and it's conversations and it's ongoing work that we have to do with either our county or our neighbors, our neighboring cities, or the airport itself or the federal level. And so it's just important, I'm learning, to really establish yourself in the community and then keep those doors open, because it's about the relationship you build and figuring out how you can move forward from there. And then, okay, after the RMMA, what else we have? We have the Rocky Mountain Greenway Trail. That's been a big topic. And I think there's going to be a lot more to come around that. I think that the entire community is invested in trying to keep us as safe as possible. And yet it's already being built, right? So what do we do about that? And where do we go from there? And then the other big projects we have going on right now are the municipal courthouse that is being built, which is really exciting. I got a tour recently, a few weeks ago, from city staff with our courthouse, and they showed me the current layout, the downstairs, which is this old part of the building that was built in the 1950s. And it looks like those old black and white movies where they have the little tiny cells and you slam the door shut like from a Western. It's really neat down there, but it also is a little outdated, and it tells you how badly we need a new courthouse because it's not meeting our community's needs at all. And then, of course, there's the water plant, right, which has also been a very big issue for the city for the last several years. And I am the liaison for that because, I like to tackle hard issues. So I'm here. If anybody ever wants to reach out and talk about it, that's what I'm here to do, is try to rebuild and establish the trust between the community and council and see what we can do to do a better job of getting information out on these projects.
Awesome. And so you've got council tonight. What do you have on your agenda for this evening?
Ooh, good question. We have got some development stuff that I can't talk about because they're in executive sessions. And then we've got some personnel things going on as well. There's half of what we do is, behind a locked door. But, and then we've got some major agenda items for approval around development going on and city financial matters. So we'll be talking to our city manager, and I think we're all going to be learning a little bit more about, can we afford these costs, and are these the right decisions to make before the council goes ahead and approves them. So there's some major financial items on the bucket list tonight.
Awesome. So maybe we can take a step back and you can talk to us just a little bit about, since this is your first term, why you decided to run, what was your motivation, why are you here today?
Yeah, great question. I think just probably much like yourself and much like other folks who are probably tuned in, I care an awful lot about my community, and I love to be involved, and I like to be in the room where the decisions are being made. And I like to make informed decisions. And to do that, you need to really be plugged in and know more about what's going on. And I think because of years of being so involved, you end up in certain circles or in certain activities and in certain events where all of a sudden one day you're asked to step up. And so I was asked to step up, and, I'll be honest, I said no. I was like, I don't know about that. I said no 5 times. And then finally I thought about it and I was like, okay, you know what? I think I can do this. I care a whole awful lot about a whole lot of things. And I love to be, involved, like I said, with my community. And I love to be where the people are. And so I think I realized that this might be where I'm supposed to be. And I'm really excited about that because a lot of this, especially campaigning, I feel like folks aren't always so open about what that process is like. A lot of campaigning is really discovering who you are and what you've got. And I've had such an enjoyable time doing that. And I've loved it. I've loved learning that, oh, wow, I can do this. And I love doing this. And I'm passionate about it. And so I'm happy to be here. And I hope that I can meet all the needs that the community needs.
Awesome. What are some of your biggest goals?
For the city or for myself?
But either way, we'd love to know more.
Biggest goals.
So we can start with the city.
Okay. The biggest goal with the city, I would say, is my number one goal getting on council was establishing trust, like trying to rebuild the trust on council, because we've got a little bit of a reputation at this point for not always being as functionable or functioning as we should be. And so, my number one goal is to try to figure out how we can work better with our city staff and how we can work better with one another on council and how we can work better with the residents in the community to show them and prove to them that we're doing what we can to do the best we can for them and that we are functioning together and that we do make decisions as one body and that we will be respectful despite disagreements and listen to each other. And so I want people to know, I take input seriously, whether that's from the city staff or from our residents or from other counselors. And so I feel like we've already come a long way. I've heard a lot of really great feedback from residents on that. And that's really exciting. I want to flip the script a little bit and give ourselves a new reputation, a reputation for a council that is forward thinking and can get things done. So I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really great goal. And what about personally or outside of council?
Yeah, so I have a lot of hobbies. And so, gosh, okay. Self-improvement, learn a new language. Got to get a new language under my belt this year. I'm probably going to go back.
One that you're working on?
Yeah, I'm working on Hindi, which is really fun. I know. I've worked on Hindi and Korean, and I'm pretty fluent in French. So we'll see. I think I'm going to go back and touch and brush up on some of those because I had to put a lot of things on hold over the last year when I was working on my campaign. Yeah. So I'm excited to get back into that because you learn a lot about a culture. And then probably get back into cooking, which I've also put on the back burner. I've been eating out too much. And
that's what happens.
Yeah, right. That is what happens. But yeah, and I like to sing. For those who know, I'm in the Astor Broomfield Choir, and we just actually had a performance in the spring that was all about the theme was home, which was really powerful to so many of us, and it was a little bit emotional because some of the songs are really emotional, like around home and what that means, and some of them were, going home, which means heaven, and it was really emotional. So anyway, and we ended up having a director of housing show up and talk about the importance of housing. And so that was really neat to tie all the things I care about into one. So I like to sing. And so I'll definitely be singing in the fall if anybody wants to come to our winter performance. I don't know what the theme will be, but that's going to be in December. So I think my goal for me is to focus both on everything I'm doing in the community, but I can go overboard sometimes. Remember to focus on me too and get that self-improvement back on track.
Yeah, that's super important. I think a lot of people kind of forget about that or put it aside and let other things take priority. So that's good that you have that in your mind.
Yeah. I want to be best for everybody.
What was that?
I want to be the best I can for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So maybe can you share a memorable experience that you've had on council so far?
Memorable experience. Yes. So I've had many meetings at this point, one-on-one with different residents who share their individual concerns about their whatever issue it is that they care about. And I would say overall, that has just been so impactful to see how many other people are really involved. And the residents around here, they do their homework. They know what they're talking about. They put a lot of time and effort into the issues they care about. But one of my meetings was with a resident who I try not to, I have to have the right time and place to share my backstory because it's a little emotional sometimes. But this woman was talking about how she is a foster parent. And of course, I'm a former foster child. And she just shared how important it was for her to see someone, become as successful as I have. And she talked about some of the needs that she needs to make her life easier, around trying to raise these kids that have a lack in so many different resources. But it wasn't really the content so much as just meeting her was so impactful. It was a little bit teary, and I just had this immediate emotional connection. And we hugged at the end, and I was so grateful that she came to talk to me. And really what it says is people are out there in the community, and it inspires them just to be around and just to talk to them and just to connect with them. And it gave me so much hope for the rest of my tenure here to see how many more people am I going to touch the hearts of, or they're going to, transform who I am. And she inspired me to do more, for her and for foster parents all over the area. So I am going to be trying. That is, one of my main issues for those who know me pretty well. And of course, I'll always be focused on that. But it's also nice to have a few really positive experiences to uplift you and carry you through, because a lot of this work is heavy. So it's really nice when you meet somebody who just changes you for the positive. It was really impactful.
Yeah, that's got to be super motivating because it's a lot of work, and it's hard, right? What you're doing is hard, and you get people mad at you all the time or complaining. And so that's got to be really impactful when that happens.
Right. It is powerful. And it's just like, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who reaches out. It's such a boost. I wish you knew how much it means to me. It gets me through the whole next week,
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the other things that you're really, so like you mentioned, homelessness. What are some of your other big issues that you would like to address on council or just in your life?
Yeah, there's many issues. I am a jack of all trades, master of none. And I'm lately learning a lot about development because that is a big part of what we do. But a lot of issues I care about that I'd like to improve for our area are the same issues we see again and again across the Front Range and often across Colorado and often across the states, which is, housing, which is currently in a crisis. So what can I do to make our current homeowners comfortable and provide the necessary housing we need to meet the current demand, which we're nowhere close to, right? And a lot of that comes it rolls up to reform needed at the state level, but still, how do we advocate for that at a city level? And then, like you mentioned, yes, unhoused, I'd like to see what I can do around that, because that's an issue that affects all of us. It affects our residents. They don't feel safe or comfortable if that's an issue that we leave unsolved. And I think that there's a lot of information and education around the fact that it costs taxpayers more to ignore the situation or to try to have police deal with it, right? And so how do we deal with this ethically and morally, and how do we give them a second chance where needed or get them the resources they need? And it helps all of us. That's the thing. I like to find solutions that really help them, but also help the city and help our residents, right? What can we do to help us all responsibly? And then, of course, a lot of our issues right now happen to be one of my number one priorities, which is the environment. I have an environmental background, and so many of the issues, which is surprising to me, and I'm also really grateful for, that we're facing the first 6 months have been around environmental issues, which is really interesting. We've got the airport, and there's been concerns around leaded aviation and the concerns around health impacts from the noise. And so that's been really interesting. I don't know if anyone could have expected that we'd be dealing with the airport first thing, on the job. I feel like I expected a lot of different things, but that was not in my bingo box. So that's been interesting. And then of course the open space, right? My entire undergrad was spent hiking and walking around outside in the woods, studying the species that we need to be protecting. And here I am, the very first issue that we come across is transforming these lands and undesignating them from the protected status to something else that's now no longer protected. And so that's been interesting too. And from that point of view, I just want to say I really appreciate how passionate our residents are, because I've learned so much about the use of the land, and it's really expanded my mind about what can we do and how do we make this more accessible for those that are using it. And we do need this space for our residents, because it is a matter of, mental health and well-being and being out there with your dogs. Like, it's been so impactful to learn how many people use this space in the way that they do. And how do I commit to the promises I've made? And how do I not let all of my ecology professors down, when we try to figure out a solution here? And so I really want to, I think going forward, I really want to concentrate on informing and educating our community on how important the land we have here is and how rare it is. It's not common, and I don't know that a lot of folks know that.
Yeah.
We might see a grass field, but the field out there, if it's a short grass prairie, is disappearing faster than the Amazon rainforest. That's what folks don't know. And so more to come there. I'm actually thinking about doing a tour this summer, maybe 3 to 5 short walks through our open spaces, through Stanley Lake, through the dog park. I'm thinking about, getting residents on board and talking about, these are the species we have out here. This is the Indian paintbrush flower, that's blooming right here in our backyard. And these are the wildlife species we have. And we are so lucky to have that. And that's why I'm here. I love our wildlife here. It's incredible. So what can we do to learn more about it and protect it?
Yeah. How long have you been in Westminster? What's your history with the area?
I have been on the Front Range for 11 years. I've been in Westminster about 7 years. And I moved here really because I think so many folks I've heard, the mountains, right? They're gorgeous. I actually visited a friend who got a job in Boulder, and we went camping in the Rocky Mountain Park, Rocky Mountain in Estes. And I remember waking up the next morning and saying, oh my God, I have to be here. What can I do to establish life? And so I decided then to establish my life on the Front Range. And Westminster's really become my home for the same reasons that I've heard from everyone else. Is it's got a small town vibe, and yet we're right next to such urban areas, right? We're right next to a giant metropolitan city, and it's very accessible. It has all of our needs. And how do we keep Westminster in the small town feel that it has? And how do we keep it beautiful? And how do we protect its community feel and neighborly vibe?
Yeah. Well, what are some of your favorite events or traditions around the city?
Good question. This is a new one, but I'm going to mention it anyway because I love it, is Westie Fest. I love that we're creating new traditions that help create what I was just saying, help create I think it will help establish pride in our residents to say, I live here. This is my city. This is this big parade or festival that we have here. And I've been wanting to see more of that. That's part of my goals overall that I want to see more of are fun things that we can do to meet our neighbors and meet folks from all over the city and make us even more proud to live where we live and establish that, pride in our city. And I feel like that does that. So that's fantastic. I love it. And also just going to Cocopelli's is that's not like a tradition, but for me, I feel it is. I go there so much for so many different things. I just feel like if there's an event, if it's probably at Cocopelli's, and I know I can meet folks there. Shout out to BPW though. For those who don't know, I've been going to BPW meetings at Cocopelli's for the last, 6 or 7 years. That's business professional women, and they have a small network of folks, and they meet, in the back room there. And I just love that some of our institutions and restaurants in the city are such good neighbors to our organizations. They partner together, and it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But okay, that's not really a tradition. Of course, I love actual traditions like walking around historic Westminster at the Arts Festival. I am the arts liaison to our NMAA, our North Metro Arts Association. And that's been really great too, because that really is the heart of the city, right? And so paying homage to the businesses that are over there is, it's always fun. You get to learn a little bit more about the historic part of the city.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of talked, well, a little bit about Cocopelia, which I will also agree is one of the best places around. But if you could recommend one hidden gem in Westminster, what would you recommend?
Only one.
Oh, say as many as you want.
Only one.
We have a lot.
I don't. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's funny. I had this list ready after watching Councilor Ireland's interview. I was like, oh, she got some good ones, you know? So for a restaurant point of view, but for just a hidden gem, gosh, I'm just going to go ahead and name a bunch of places that I really like to visit because I don't think I can name just one. Like I don't. So I'll start out with, I love Asian food. So I start, my heart is where my tummy is. And so, so for me, a hidden gem is where there's good food. And for that, I'll just say, I love the hot pho that is on 92nd. They've got amazing pho, and every time I'm sick, especially if I'm sick, I definitely go there because it makes me feel so much better. But I feel like a lot of folks don't know about it. And if you like seafood, there's Rocky Fin Poke. I go to Poke all the time, and I kind of lived off of that during campaigning because it's so hot. You want something to cool you down and something that's healthy. And so Poke hits the spot, and I love that we have it. And then I'll also mention a gem is Tous les Jours. I don't know how many folks know that place, but I meet for coffee there a lot. And almost everyone I talked to said, oh, what's that? And I'm like, it's right here. So Tous les Jours is a Korean French bakery, and it's so unique. It has really unique items in there. It has really unique drinks in there. And I recommend you try it if you haven't tried it. It's fantastic. And I really love it. So I'll shout out to them. And if you like Mexican food, I'll say Rosita's Mexican food is really just absolutely some of the best I've ever had. And then I'll give a shout out to Legacy Point because they've got that. I mean, they always have good food, but they've got that incredible view. So shout out there because that is a gem right there. Yeah. I mean, you can't beat that anywhere. So that just deserves its own. I mean, and if you have events, I can see doing events there because it's just absolutely gorgeous. And Carrabba's is a favorite of mine, so I have to give them a shout because that's like some of my favorite food is just Carrabba's. And
I appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, Carmelia, right? I'm Italian. I can't help. I mean, some good food there.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what we don't talk about enough is boba. So I'm a huge boba fan, and we have recently had so many boba places open up. I love it. I am so excited. Let me.
There's another one coming to downtown.
Is there?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's amazing. Or maybe I did know it and I just forgot. Yay
I'm
for
sure I'm sure you knew.
I'm sure I knew. There's so much I kind of know about that like floats around in my brain. Yeah, we've got Share Tea. We have got Kaluka, which is so good. We've got Hype Tea. We have so many. We also have 52-8 TEA, which unfortunately they recently closed down. And so I was really sad about that. Kind of broke my heart there. So, and I just want to give it a shout out to say, you know, how do we find out about our really good businesses and support them before, you know, they have to close? I really want to figure out and look into that issue. I'd love to figure out how we can better support our businesses before they have to close down, because the owners there were phenomenal. I adored them. They were so sweet and they knew you by name and they had this great membership program. And so, yeah. So thank you for your time here, 5280. And I wish you all the best.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, we just have just a couple minutes left if anybody's got any questions. Otherwise, is there anything else that you would like people to know about you, about council, about your plans, any of that?
Yeah, if you have any questions about me, let me know. I'd love to share and get to know the community more on a one-on-one vibe. And I want to know who you are. And mostly I'm just a big nerd. You know, I like books. You can see my bookshelves, and I like Comic-Cons, and I like anime, and I like board games, and I sing a lot in the shower. So that's who I am. So, you know, and I would love to get to know who you are. And so feel free to reach out. I'll just pitch this, you know, first and third Saturday, I'll be at Zoe's Coffee at 9:30 if you want to come talk to me. It is more of a group discussion, but I'd love to hear from you. And that's always a good time. So feel free to come by anytime. And I like that because you can just stop by. It's not a commitment, you know. And yeah, share your thoughts and send me an email anytime. I'm here for you.
we've got a last minute question coming in from Dave because he's got a question here. Do you know when the historic Westminster planters will be filled?
Oh my gosh, that keeps coming up. What the heck? I feel like council asks for that again and again and again. And it just, okay, I'll ask. Good question. I feel like there is already either agenda or goals around that about when they're supposed to be taken care of. And just know that that's been on the back of my mind too. I'm like, okay, can we just get this taken care of to make everybody happy, please? So yes.
Cool.
Thank you, Dave.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us today. So excited to have you on the broadcast, and we'll get you back on here in a couple months or 2 or 3 months and chat again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. I love that you share this time with the community. It's really valuable. And thanks for all you do.
Yeah. All right, everybody, thanks for joining and have a great rest of your week.